Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. I said that kind of weird, huh? Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of October 6th through 12th, which would make it the first full week of October. Please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energy and influence of the week. Comments down below. I always appreciate your comments. You guys know that. And oh yeah, I want to apologize for the monthly October reading being late. I'm so sorry about that. I actually thought I had it scheduled, but with all the issues I have going on with my brain, I had a brain fart, I guess I could say. It was not scheduled. So it came out on Wednesday, October 2nd. So check that out if you haven't already. Okay, I'm using two decks you guys are familiar with. Only two, not the third, but you are familiar with these. They are shuffled and ready to go. And I think that's it. Yeah, comments down below. Love those comments, like I said. Feedback is always welcome. Just be kind. Oh, and my arm is going to be in the video as usual, and I have a really bright shirt on. So that's it. Just wanted to warn you guys. All right, let's start. What do we need? TikTok. Okay, so the clock is ticking. So what do we need? We need to fulfill the deadlines. We need to fulfill deadlines. We need to get something done that maybe we've been procrastinating on. We need to maybe schedule something, right? Because this really has to do with it feels like we're not running out of time, but like we are on a schedule kind of deal. Maybe we need to schedule things out, right? Maybe we need to have better time management. So there's all this stuff here about, being on top of our time, being on top of our scheduling, being on top of being aware of deadlines, things like that. So we definitely need to do that. So be mindful. I definitely feel like we're becoming a little bit more scheduled, some of us out there, which is great. Yeah, I love that. So let's just keep going. Action needed. We have femme fatale, highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Okay, so this is about sensual energy. This is about erotic energy. Doesn't matter what gender you identify as. This is about being sensual, being, let's see, what can I say on YouTube? Can I say sexy? Can I say that? I don't know. We're about to find out. Seeking pleasure, that kind of stuff. All right, it's under action needed. I think you guys could put two and two together without me trying to toe the lines of what not TikTok. I know it says TikTok, but I was thinking of the app TikTok. YouTube. What YouTube allows. So I don't want to toe the lines anymore, but I think you guys can kind of get my drift here. Being a little frisky. Looks like we need it. Some of us need it because it's quite literally under action needed. So, all right, Spirit, we get it, okay? Issue, we have not for you. Okay, so we have issues, either letting something go that's not for us or getting the clarity around figuring out something is not for us, right? So, maybe we're trying something new and we're not quite sure if this is for us or not. And you're still trying to figure that out. That's definitely very, very much a possibility. The 6, if you guys could see that in the corner of the card, jumps out to me. 6 could mean responsibility. 6 could mean family, especially when it comes to family healing. So maybe there's something that you took on as like a responsibility, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you took on an extra task or something like that, or took on a responsibility from somebody and it's hard for you to stick to it. I don't know, something along those lines could definitely be possible, but I think it's more so, like I said, having the clarity around that this thing is not for you, or identifying that it's not for you. So you could be going against something that feels forceful, right? It feels forceful. It doesn't feel like it's in flow at all. So we're having trouble again, possibly identifying what's not for you. So I'm sure you'll get clarity by the end of the week, but yeah, it's definitely going to be an obstacle that you keep, it's like a wall, more so an obstacle, honestly. You just kind of keep hitting up against the wall. All right, what else do we have issues with? Excuse me. Rescuer, provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward. Okay. Okay, so this is about being of use and, helping other people that may, being in service to other people that may need it, and that's in a positive way. And so it's saying we're having a challenge doing it in the more positive way. So there could quite literally be an obstacle in the way of, we've been getting like similar type messages maybe in the past about being of service to others, giving more, that kind of thing. So you might have issues in this area where maybe you can't give more, or maybe you can't actually do it. Maybe there's a friend that you really want to help out with money, but you're so tight on money, you literally cannot do it right now. It just would not be a wise financial thing, or you just quite literally do not have the funds to do it. So it could be something along those lines. I'm trying to not get into frame here. So yeah, there's some kind of challenge where maybe somebody needs rescuing and you can't necessarily do it yourself, or it's not the right time. Speaking of timing in the beginning, it might feel very frustrating to you, but if you can't help somebody, you can't help somebody. And I think that's like somebody out there that's listening to this really needs to hear that, because I know you want to be of service. Like I said, we've been getting lots of messages around like getting into that mindset again, getting into that energy again. But this is basically saying like you need a little bit more rescuing on yourself. You can't necessarily, like, you want to, you feel that energy's there, but you just, again, you can't necessarily do it. So always put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can help others. But it looks like this week we need our own oxygen mask at this point. Hopefully that makes sense. But don't worry, the giving, let's see if we get anything else kind of coming up about that, but you'll be able to give soon. Sometimes we need to kind of just give to ourselves, and it's just not the right timing, and that's okay. All right, what's changing? We have flexible. Okay, yay, I love this one. This is a very versatile type card. So it means flexibility, adaptability, versatility. So it's saying that you're changing in this area, so you're more flexible for things. So you may have more options opening up to you because you're kind of in this energy of being more flexible. Maybe your kids went back to school or something. I know it's October, that was probably more so last month, but maybe they went to, let's just use it as an example. They went to school, and now you have more options for what to do when they're not, you don't have to watch them 24/7 during the day. And so you have more options of what to do for work. Maybe, instead of looking for something that's like after hours or something, your hours have changed. Now you can work during the day. So you have more flexibility in that. So something is changing in your life that's allowing you to be more flexible and adaptable. And that's really good because it, again, provides you more options. Focus, lover. Ooh, between the lover and the femme fatale, what's going on? Okay. Great passion and devotion. Do I need to say more? You are a lover boy, lover girl, lover whoever. Focus. It's under the focus. It's under priorities. Guys, do I have to say more? Be loving. Doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. I feel like it is. Okay, but doesn't have to. I was just talking to a friend this morning about love. You can have love for life, love for your pets, love for yourself, love for your children. Does not have to. You don't always have to seek out romantic love, but this does feel like in that way it's probably alluding to that, but it could be anything. So focus on being more loving. There's not too much more I can say on that. And then pair it with the femme fatale if you get my drift. If you get my drift. Okay, reflect. All right, deep knowing. All right, so this is about your inner knowing. So Spirit is asking us to introspect and reflect on our claircognizance, aka deep knowing, inner knowing. So this is really about really reflecting on in the past, all the times where you've gotten that inner knowing. That's the most, again, confusing, intuitive gift that we have, because sometimes you just be knowing things and it's hard to explain why. Okay. It's more of a, it comes through intellectually in a way instead of maybe more like feeling type intuition. So yeah, this is really about reflecting on the things that you know to be true. Anytime you've ever gotten that feeling, what does that feeling look like to you? What does it feel like? What are the things Spirit is trying to tell you that you already know? Work off of that. I gave you a few journal prompts in there, but yeah, we should spend more time thinking about it and reflecting on it, because it really is one of the odd ones. And honestly, it's one of the ones that I think gets passed over all the time. Like, we don't listen to it because we think it's just like a thought, where usually like our ego mind, it comes from thoughts, is like the manufacturer of some of our thoughts for the most part. But intuition can also come through that way as well. So it could be like a little confusing. All right, responsibilities. Guys, what is going on? I said to myself in my head when I was doing the lever here, I was like, oh, that's so funny. There's literally two of the most sensual and provocative type archetypes in this card. It would be so funny if I pulled this one. Okay, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking it, all right? And the prostitute, which again is another type, can be provocative in that way. So since, not always, but I cannot ignore that there are three of these cards on the board here in a triangle, especially, almost connected to each other. So this could quite literally mean, okay, giving yourself to something, responsibilities. I don't want to go too far. I'm not telling everybody to go and be, a spicy worker. Okay, that's not what this means. It's not saying responsibilities be a spicy worker. This is basically saying your responsibilities are to express this part of yourself that really looks like it needs to kind of come out. Guys, at this rate, it looks like I'm going to have to put something about this, because it seems like it's dominating energy in the title of this video, which is going to be a first for me. I will say that, but I don't know. It's a very sexy time of year, I guess. I don't know, but this could quite literally be your responsibilities are to express that part of yourself, okay? Your physical self, all right? But could also be about, the more, where it usually means, is kind of like, I always say this. You give something to get something. But it's like in a positive way, right? You give something to get something. So this could also kind of be meshing into a little bit of like the rescuer, where we want to give what we necessarily can't, and so if we have to get something for something that we give, that's okay too. Like if it's an even exchange, it's okay too. Okay, so that could also be like the second meaning going on here. But again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we didn't just get the prostitute, the lover, and the femme fatale. Okay? So I only read what comes up, all right? So keep that in mind and do with it what you will. Yeah, love that for us, right? Love that for us. All right, money and finances. We have regeneration. Yes, I love this card usually, but I especially love it when it comes to money, finances, and career, because this means it's basically saying, like, if you feel like you lost something, which if you've lost out on money, if you've lost out on unpaid wages, if you've lost out on job opportunities, regeneration is always about building back the same or better. So I will give you an example from my own life right now. I haven't been able to work that much in the last 4+ years, okay? Unfortunately. And if anybody knows me in real life, or, has heard me talk about how I'm a workaholic sometimes, this has been an interesting lesson, but I have not been making as much money as I usually have. This is basically saying, like, tides are starting to turn, because what I missed out on, I'm going to make back. And not only am I going to make back what I should have earned, then but I could make back even more, right? So, and honestly, like, if you're thinking in your heads like, oh, that's not possible, that has actually already happened to me. There was like a few years in my 20s where I was like unemployed and wasn't making a lot of money, and I was like emotionally going through a bad breakup, my awakening. It was a lot, okay? And so I didn't work that much either, okay? And then I started, a few years later, after it was like a few years, and then a few years later, like maybe like 3 or 4 years from that, I started to really make a lot of money doing the things that I learned during my awakening, doing the things that I learned about while healing from that really bad relationship, okay? So I started making the money back because of my downtime, if that makes sense. So it almost feels like that as well. So if it's saying like you had to take time off, even just like a couple of months, if you had to take time off because your kids needed you or your family member needed you or you got laid off or something like that, you could be getting back pay. This is an example of that. Like maybe unemployment owes you back pay. Something like that. It says you're going to make it back and better. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best cards to get for this slot here because it's reassurance that everything is going to be okay and you're going to make money again eventually, okay? It's just about having patience, and the fact that it's here is a really, really good sign, okay? So it's either coming this week or it's coming soon. So we love that. We love to build things back. And that's the other thing too. I know money is so triggering for everyone. Everybody has like a money story of some kind, right? It's so triggering. But we have to remember that it will always come back around. It will always I feel like, again, somebody needs to hear this. It will always come back around. You don't have to worry about the time. Like, I still did, in the last few years. I still do today. Still like worry, wonder and worry, but I don't let it get to me because I know that this is true. I know that I'm being planted for something, right? And so that's the way we kind of have to think about it, right? We can come back stronger for sure. You could talk to a multi-entrepreneur who's had 3 failed businesses. On the 4th business, he made triple, quadruple the amount of money they would have ever made on the last 3 businesses that failed, right? So it will happen, okay? I promise you it will happen. So you will make up for your money and finances. You will make up for any lost job opportunities. That mean that if you got rejected from something, that just means something better is coming. I promise you guys, I would not just blow smoke up your rear end, okay? This is true stuff. This is how the universe works. I have seen it myself. I have experienced it myself, and I know you guys have as well. So I love this. What a great, wonderful card. We haven't had the greatest cards in money, finances, and career. You guys have known that if you watched all the previous ones. This one is really good, and I'm excited. So love that for us. My new saying, obviously, right? I keep saying it. All right, what's a surprise? Alchemist. Okay, transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. Yes, alchemist is just manipulation, but manipulation in the good way, right? In the positive way. It's upright. So basically it's saying that like what's going to surprise you is a transformation of some kind in a positive way. Maybe you surprise yourself by something that you're reacting to something differently, that you're reacting a different way from a particular situation that you would have reacted differently, like maybe like even just a month ago. There's something that has changed that's going to surprise you, whether it's about your own behavior or somebody else's behavior, or something has changed. Something. And it's going to be very apparent, it feels like, this week. Like you're going to see the fruits of that labor this week, which is cool. Okay, friends, we have milk and honey. Okay, so this is about bittersweet energy. It's kind of like when one door closes, another one opens type of energy, sweet energy, just in general. So a lot of sweet people around us, very kind people around us. We love that. Your friends are being extra sweet to you. And they don't want anything in return, which is good. These are true friends coming through. And then like that bittersweet, kind of like the aftertaste in your mouth kind of situation where maybe the food tastes good, but it has an aftertaste kind of situation. It's kind of like concentrate more on the good than there is bad. And so that's basically saying, this is what's going on in our friend group or community or family or whatever platonic people we have in our lives. So I see that as a positive. There's it's just saying that's what it is. It is what it is. All right, romantic connection. We have God. I was wondering if we were going to get another card that maybe. I honestly think these are the only three that really. I have to really think about it because there's actually 52 cards on that deck. So, I think these are really I'm 99% sure of the three that highlight the erotic energy, the sexy energy. Anyway. Benevolence and compassion, recognizing the internal force within yourself and others. Okay, so realizing that you are the creator of your own life, that you're in more control that you think you are. So it's under romantic connection. So we're in control of more than we think in our romantic connections. Maybe this is about learning that you can control yourself, you can control your actions, you can control your emotions, and that's good within a relationship. If you feel like you've been quote unquote like losing control or losing your temper or feeling like you don't have any say over your relationship, I feel like things are going to turn in that way, where you're going to feel more empowered in some way. Feeling more in control in your relationships is a good thing, but maybe, not meaning that you're controlling other people, but you're realizing that you can control yourself. All right, what's important? Mending. Okay, so this is saying that it's important to mend something, to work on reconciliation, to focus on coming together with somebody or something that, and it usually means like something that maybe was like previously broken or something that was previously together. So you could be mending a friendship, you could be mending a relationship. It is coming off of romantic connection here, so possibly. You could be mending, reconnecting with an old friend. You can be reconnecting old acquaintances or connections that you have for a job. You could be mending family relationships. You can be mending pretty much anything. It's not specific, I don't feel like it's specific to any area in our lives, but it definitely does feel like there's some kind of repair going on here. This could be this is under important, so it's saying it's important to make repairs. So this could be maybe you've been like something like very, I don't want to say minor, but you could be thinking about doing a repair on your apartment, on your house, and you've been putting it off, and basically it's saying, no, it's important that you do it this week. Okay, so it could be something as small as that, okay, as maybe surface level as that. And that honestly would go kind of like hand in hand with the TikTok, because it's basically saying like anything we've been putting off, okay, we need to kind of do. Okay, so maybe you have better time management, maybe you have time in your schedule, this week to do it, so do it for sure. So anybody out there that needs validation that they have to make a home repair, it's right here, okay? Health and wellness, we have dilettante and the shadow, pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. Okay, so this is about kind of like, maybe pretending is too much of a it's too much of a bold word, but it's kind of like alluding to the fact that you know more than you actually do. It's kind of like an ego thing a little bit going on here under health and wellness. So basically Spirit is saying, don't pretend to know things that you don't know. Okay, don't pretend you don't know what you don't know. Okay, that's really what Spirit is saying here. So this especially goes for anybody that wants to give anybody else advice about their health and wellness, which is, in my opinion, not the greatest, because everybody, as I've learned in the last 4+ years, is that everybody's body reacts differently to different things, and everybody's body is different, and it's really hard when we're giving health advice in that way, right? And I feel the same way about like mental health as well. Like what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, and vice versa. And even a spiritual journey, spirituality looks so different for so many people that it's tough to kind of, give like cookie cutter type advice. Like it's basically saying, like this is saying like, do not pretend that it's cookie cutter advice. Do not pretend that one thing that works for one person doesn't work for others. But also do not pretend that you think that you know everything, because you don't. That's what it's kind of saying here. So just don't try to act like the expert when you know you have room to grow and you have room to learn, is maybe another way of saying this. But I'm trying to think if I could come up with an example on the fly here. Well, I kind of did okay, well, what about, okay, so I use like a weight loss journey for this example a lot in health and wellness. Women have to, you can't, like if you've got this 25-year-old guy who's in perfect shape and, still has like a high metabolism at 25, and he says something like hormones don't affect, are not an excuse for your weight gain. Ladies. I'm a 39-year-old woman at this point, and I'm literally going through that right now, is that my estrogen is too high, and it's quite literally keeping weight on my body, okay? How do I know this? Because I count my calories and I work out every single day, and I'm still not budging, and I know it's because it's my estrogen, because I finally connected the dots between that and histamine intolerance. I won't go into it, okay? But everybody out there maybe that has been pregnant, or anybody in a female body who knows about estrogen, okay, and high estrogen and all the and hormones going crazy, knows that that's not, not true, okay? So this 25-year-old personal trainer in perfect shape that never had to deal with these type of things is pretending he knows that it doesn't put weight, doesn't make it tricky for us to lose weight, for women like that to lose weight. Okay, so that's a good example of this. So don't be that person. Don't be that person, okay? You don't want to be a know-it-all when you really, you have to be a little bit more open-minded and realize that you don't know it all, okay? So this could be referring to whatever journey that you're on. I gave you the example for health journey. So I think I spent enough time on that. And I think you guys get it. But if you don't, questions are always, available to ask down below. Okay, overall outcome, we have advantageous energy. I love it. I love it. I love this card when it comes up. Basically means we have a leg up. We have advantageous energy, which means we have abundance, opportunities. We talked about that coming from the flexibility card up there. It's saying that we have the insider. We have an advantage of some kind, okay? And this is always in a positive way, most times in a positive way, where it's saying that it's okay to take advantage of that advantage. Okay, so if you have a friend of a friend that has a job opening and you feel bad because you're not the hundreds of applicants that applied online, but you got an interview through a friend, please take it. That's what it's saying, okay? If something is offered to you in that way, it's important that you do take it, okay? And I feel like it's saying overall outcomes, you're realizing that there are going to be more opportunities like that come your way. So more of like a flow energy. Okay, that's what it's kind of prefacing a little bit. It's saying like things are going to flow for you a little bit more. You're going to have a lot more advantages to your advantage. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to your advantage. And that's a really good thing, because I know it might not seem fair, but you still have to land the interview. You know what I'm saying? Like even if like a friend of a friend got you into the interview, you still have to land the interview and you still have to land the job. And you still have to do the job well. Right? So it's not like a free ride, certainly not like that. It's just saying take any advantages or opportunities that present themselves to you. And I feel like it's coming in the overall outcome. So it's basically saying like, yeah, they're going to be, these things should be more of a recurring thing, which is good. All right, guys, I like this. I don't see anything that would be a red flag, to be completely honest with you. I think the issues and the challenges are always issues and challenges, right? It can't be, things can't be always like 100%, but the not for you card, we're having issues with that, possibly letting go of something that's not for you, or figuring out that something's not for you, maybe the hard way, but it doesn't feel major. It doesn't feel like it's a it makes the week a terrible week or anything. It feels just like it's an issue and an obstacle, and that's okay. Nothing else I would consider a red flag. So, guys, I love this. Looks like a good week for us, and I think that's it. Comments down below as usual, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.